Joining us, of course, for the first time here on The Observer, I want to say a special good evening to television talk show host and businessman. And you can find him, of course, every morning on Synergy TV with the program Breaking Dawn. Let me say good evening to Mr. Stephan Reis.
Good evening, Mikee, and good evening to your audience as well. And yeah, man, so what are we talking about this evening?
Well, what we're talking about is, there are three components when it comes to any election. And that is timing, message, and money. And of course, the latter is all depending on how good the middle one is, which of course, the message. You've been interacting for years with so many people, of course, on your morning program. And as we gear up heading into this general election, upcoming general elections, what do you think is the message and what should that be? Because, it seems that there's so much information. Do you think it's overwhelming? When you look at crime, when you look at unemployment and all of these issues, what's your takeaway from it? Do you feel that the people are getting the message or it is yet to produce itself?
Well, okay. So a lot to unfold there. In terms of the amount of things happening, right? I do a morning show, as you said, and sometimes you don't even know what you want to talk about because it has so many things happening, and then you have to narrow it down in the time that you have, and you have to be selective. So a lot of things you wouldn't be able to talk about on any specific day, and you could tell yourself that will be missed. But you have to remember that, I on here Monday to Friday, so I could always bring up topics from Monday on a Thursday. It's very important that for people who in the industry that we're in, that when something important and we feel that the message should go across to the people and the people should be educated and informed on a particular issue, that it have no time like current. Every day is a current day. You understand? So that's one. Two, you talk about the messaging. Now, outside of my morning show, I have been very vocal on social media.
Right.
Throughout the years, right? And I just want to draw a parallel to the US election because we're talking messaging, right?
Right.
And I was telling people, I said, if you was watching MSNBC and CNN and all these conventional media stations, you would have get tied up into thinking that the election was close. But if you were following the election on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, you name it, Donald Trump was a runaway train. The reason being that I could say that is that we're living in the era of reality. And in the era of reality, people want to hear from people that they could relate to. It had to be a message that they could relate to. And he was doing that extremely well by talking on a very simple level where the average man could understand. You can't come and talk on our platform and talk about debt to GDP and that kind of thing. You're going to miss the grassroots.
All right.
Because they don't understand that kind of language. You have to bring it home to them. We know that just like in the US, when I was following it on social media, people were talking about the price of groceries, that it's more expensive now than it was when Trump was there. They talk about the price of gas being higher than when Trump was there. And they were just making simple comparisons. And we're talking about different demographics, people from different walk of life, everything. They weren't studying identity politics with Trinidadians. Notice I say Trinidadians are not Tobagonians. Trinidadians just get caught up in every election cycle, the identity politics. They were talking about the things that affect them, that affect the pocket, and they voted on the issues. So I think in terms of the messaging, the economy is one, because things more expensive now than it was between, and I'm drawing a reference here and a comparison between the previous administration and this one.
Right.
Things more expensive now than it was then. All right? Crime. Crime is the number one issue in the country. Everybody living in fear. Home invasions, robberies, murder, illegal firearms, you name it. Crime has to be at the top of the agenda because it's the number one issue in the country. And anybody that trying to talk to the people, they have to give some sort of plan as to how they're going to move forward with solving the crime problem that affecting Trinidad and Tobago in a very, very serious way.
Well, let me interject here, Stephan. And those are some very, I mean, when you spotlight those topics, yeah, they're very important. But one of the things you said just now is that basically you have to know your audience. And when you when you take in consideration the audience, you have a group of people who would say, listen, I'm simply just going to suffer in silence. And then you have another group who is going to be feeling obligated to their tribe. I need to be this way. I need to be affiliated with this party until I die. I simply do not care. Then you have those who feel powerless and ask themselves, does an election really give me that power? Will this election really give me that power? Now, when you take all of that in consideration, as well as the swing voters, then how do you tailor a message to reach those people who may have already said, listen, I just feel as though whatever I do is not going to make a difference?
All right. Well, okay. Politics is about people, right? Or at least it's supposed to be.
Right.
So politicians, they have to come out of the conventional element in this election. I mentioned just now in the era of reality, right?
Right.
Did you see the interview that Trump did with Rogan, with Joe Rogan?
Yeah, straight to the point, basic, yeah.
And not only that, but Trump wasn't in politician mode. He wasn't just as a person and having a conversation here with somebody, right?
Right.
People need to feel that sort of connectivity to the people that talking to them. So you have to, like I said, you have to bring it home to people. You had to put it across in a way that the single mothers, when you talk on the platform and you bring up certain issues that the single mother sitting at home, she could say, yeah, boy, that's why I'm going through. And I could understand what that person's saying. You had to bring it across to the people who have been victims of crime, right? And even the families who grieving for their loved ones, all these deaths that we had. We on course for the highest ever murder rate in the country. But you had to talk to them in a way that resonate with them on a personal level. And I think that a lot of politicians in Trinidad and Tobago, they don't do that. Maybe because they don't know how to do it. I don't know. It's like you, all right, Mikey, you doing a show.
Right.
When you talk to your audience, and your audience is relate to you?
Yes.
Why?
Because they understand exactly, and the level that we're talking is something that they can relate to. In other words, the narrative has to be compatible to how they live and how they face reality on a daily basis.
Correct. So when you're on a platform or when you're out walking the communities and things like that, you have to deal with the people on that level. They have to feel that you care about them. Now, I'm not saying that all politicians who care about the people. I think it generally are politicians that care about the people, and they really, really want the country to move forward in a positive direction. But it have a lot of noise.
All right.
That you had a silence. You know the noise that I'm talking about.
Right.
We had the propaganda machinery and everything that has come out during elections, and unfortunately, we also in an era where facts are very hard to get across to the population because it's being drowned out by propaganda. So you had to figure out a way to bring that to the people, that they know what is true and what is a lie then. You understand? Because a lot of people, you know that a lot of people believe a lot of lies that have been told to them. The truth gets lost in the lies, and the media have a big role to play in that.
But I understand your point there, but that's just the thing. I mean, okay, so let's say you have someone who's a candidate that may not be charismatic. They're not the most charismatic person. You know, when they walk in, the room that doesn't light up, when they come through the community. Mm-hmm. But at the end of it all, they are what is being sold. People buy into you before they buy into the message. And so you have to have an idea of exactly what that message is. It has to be a universal in the sense that everyone in the party, everyone who's affiliated, everyone who's coming out to actually sell that message has to know exactly what that message is. Otherwise, the challenger would get a hands up on you, because now the incumbent may not be better because you spoke about the economy. And most 9 out of 10 times, that's what the incumbent would use. Listen, I've done everything was smooth sailing, you can't complain about much, I've been able to manage this, I've been able to manage that. Now, whether it's true or not, the difference is that they are able to sell that message while you may be more than willing to come and provide better and elevate the lives of the people. Your selling points are just not there. Then how do you make that connection?
Well, I don't think the incumbent right now have a selling point. Unfortunately, I'm telling you, I don't think they have a selling point. What is their selling point on the economy? Everything, the power, the dollar, the power your dollar in terms of spending, it does not go as far as it used to go. You know that, I know that, and the working class know that. Right? The crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago has not improved, it gets worse. You have a Minister of National Security that has offered absolutely no plan whatsoever to alleviate crime in the country. Right? And the message of the incumbent, the message of this current administration is it's your fault. And it's that you have to pull up your socks, and you have to do better, and you have to choose better men, and all kind, the women and them have to choose better men. They keep pointing the finger at the population, and I think that the population, they had it up to the neck with that. Yeah. They fed up with that kind of rhetoric.
I understand your point, but the fact is that even if you can't just rely on your laurels and say, listen, I'm just going to waltz into this because they really and truly have not done what they did. Now remember, it's not a matter of what they've actually done, but it's the message, what they're selling. Now you can walk into a showroom and you could see a salesman and he's telling you this is the best car. It's efficient on gas, it's good, it's but it could be the worst model that they have ever made. Now you simply can't rely on him.
Right.
Now what he has to do now is relate to you. A man comes in there and he tells you, I have a family. You're not going to try to sell him a little two-door sedan. You have to listen to what he's saying. You have to tailor that message. You have to make sure that he understands. It's not good enough to say that there are home invasions, but to make that connection where the senior citizens are afraid to come out, that you understand that you know they're a soft target. That is the point that has to be made. I mean, I get your point, but staying quiet about it and just saying, listen, they didn't make it, they failed, and that's enough. Is that enough?
I'm not saying to be quiet about it. I think that people have to be more vocal and less reliant on talk show hosts. And I say that, listen, I said on my program this week, and I said it last week, and I've said it in the past. People have a habit of calling, and you must get tens of thousands of calls like this already. Yeah. Boy, I have a little problem, and so happen and think, but I don't know if you could mention it now, but don't call my name.
Yeah.
Don't call your name.
Yeah.
So I put myself in the firing line, and you want to stay quiet in the background with nobody knowing who you are, and I open myself up to victimization, and you're safe and you're comfortable with that. I have an issue with that. People need to understand. You cannot be more victimized than you already are right now. What you afraid? What's going right for you? If you have things that are not going the way that it's supposed to go, if your standard of living is not improving, if the 4% that they're offering the working class is next to nothing and an insult, then get up and talk about it. Get up and say something about it. Be vocal about it. You cannot sit down and be silent. Now, I'm not saying that you need to take to the streets, I'm not saying that you need a riot, I'm not saying that there'll be anything like that. But you have a power that you could exercise every 5 years, and now it is up to you to be honest with yourself. Trinidadian people don't like to be honest with themselves. They like to lie to themselves right through. It's time to be honest. What do you want? Do you want a better standard of living? Is the current administration, or has the current administration shown you over the last 9 going into 10 years that they are capable of providing a better standard of living to you? And the answer is no. And if the answer is no, then you know what you have to do. But people have to come out of this mindset that they must stay quiet and they mustn't say nothing, and they must live in fear for victimization and so on and so forth. They have to come out. If you do not come out now, what is going to happen in the next 5-10 years?
But let me ask you this. Do you think that the perception, and you made a very strong point. They will always say, listen, Stephan or Mikey, or, the case may be, deal with this for me, see how best you can raise this issue, but don't say where you got the information from. Do you think the perception is that they see us more than just talk show hosts, that some sort of savior, somebody who is there to fight their battles, somebody who is to lead the charge, because they have this way of saying, listen, if I stick my neck out, I'm going to be victimized. But you, on the other hand, you seem courageous, you seem brave, and perhaps I can channel what I need to through you. Is that something you ever ask yourself, did I sign on for this?
Yeah, that, I ask myself that every day. When it is I sign up for this? No, I understand. We on television. We in the public space. So people who watching us on television or listening on radio, they have the perception that we are the people to make the change, without the understanding that is the other way around. We are just the messengers, We are the messengers. Because we are getting the message across where the people are unhappy. They're not contented with what's going on. We're talking about the issues. But then, all right, Mikey, if you call tomorrow and you say, here what's going on, we're coming out and we want 50,000 people in the streets with us. You know that you probably have more than 50,000 people following you.
Right.
I know that I must have more than 50,000 following me. But when we come out on that day, where the 50,000 people? So they have confidence in us to get the message across for them. But when we say, listen, we need your support, we need you to back us now. We back you, come out and back us now. Because one of the things that politicians fear the most is numbers, They don't like to see people in unity, They don't like to see a sea of people coming at them, Because that means they're in trouble. Because when people get together and they unite, and unity, you ask what the message had to be. The message had to be unity. It has to be unity. It is time that the country get up and say, listen, we're not happy with the current situation. Nothing is going right. We're going right in Trinidad and Tobago right now. You can't access foreign exchange properly. Even if you're traveling, you have to go in the bank, you have to carry all kind of document to get $200. They're restricting the amount of money that you could get off your credit card, or how much money you could use off your ATM card and access through an ATM out in the States. You can't even get that businessmen how to be buying foreign exchange on the black market. When they do that, it carry up the cost of living for the consumer, because they're going to pass that cost across. For all the noise people make about property tax, I think it was either Imbert or Brand Manning the other day jump up and said they almost reached the 50% threshold. So then if they almost reach it and they didn't reach it before, why people line up paying property tax? Somebody could explain me that. Because they were supposed to get 50% of property owners in order to implement the tax. Is that not so?
Well, and that brings me to the point again. Do people really grasp the essence of that? Okay, money that cannot be accounted for. Does that connection ever, is it ever there? Does it ever make that connection? Or do you think it's just something in passing, it's lost in translation, and it's let's go on to the next day? Is it that people really and truly understand what needs to be done, number one? Number two, understand what the message has to be, that you have to reach them to say, listen, not only is change necessary, but it's the only option. Or is all of that lost to the fact that I simply just want to be entertained? When the time comes, I'll make that final decision.
No, I don't think so. I think right now, you're talking about missing money. We're talking about, is it $2.6 billion?
Right.
Right. We have a serious situation with our Auditor General standing up and saying, hey, 2.6 billion missing here. Where it gone? And the Minister of Finance cannot answer. And in order to clear himself, he appoint a committee to investigate himself. You understand? People understand why he just tell them there? Because that's what he do, Take the one to the Privy Council. One of the law lords say, but wait, why does Ms. Ramdas being investigated under the minister? We're talking about 2.6 billion, but let me tell you what people, and I explained this on social media, and I explained it on my show already, and I'm going to explain it to your audience too. One of the biggest problems, people don't understand what money is. The average man does not understand, or may not, I don't know, they're not at the point of comprehending the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Because we're hearing all these billions of dollars being spent every year. In the last 10 years, Trinidad and Tobago, when you add up all the budgets, about 600 and something billion dollars. Billion! And we're going backwards. No, just to explain to your audience, because I'm passionate about this, but people understanding the amount of money we're talking about, the difference between $1 million and $1 billion is far. If I pay you, Mikey, $100,000 a month, right? In 10 months, you will earn $1 million.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
If I pay you the same $100,000 a month, you will earn $1 billion in 833.33 years.
That's right.
Not months, you know. Years I talking about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I am saying that is the difference or the distance between $1 million and $1 billion. So when you hearing the budget is $58 billion and then the year pass and your roads still deplorable and no effect on crime and the economy get worse and unemployment rising and everything going wrong, we can't secure our own borders. What's going on all this? We don't even have a good fleet of ships to secure the borders. You have an illegal immigrant problem. This country has real problems, you know. And if people don't start understanding that the money that is being spent every year, this money that it is just, that is said casually, oh, well, this going to cost $2 billion, or this going to cost $600 million. People don't understand how much money that is and what it could do for them, you know. Because I don't think they understand. And it's up to us, the people on the ear, like yourself, to bring that understanding to the people. Is part of the messaging have to be all of that too. That Trinidad and Tobago was or still is, might be, a wealthy country where we can progress and everybody's standard of living could get better, but things have to change, and it is up to the people to make the decision when the time comes on the change that they want.
Okay, and so taking all of that in consideration, because I'm about to wrap up there with you.
Yeah.
Taking all of this in consideration, would you say then that the message that has to be tailored, the message that has to come out, the message that has to be related to the people is that none of us, whether personal, business, community, and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago, can withstand another 5 years of this?
Mikey, we can't withstand the next 5 days. You talking about 5 years? 5 days is too much. And I'm being honest with you because, and the reason why I say 5 days is too much, you had 9 years going into 10, right?
Right.
We have gone, would we agree that we have gone backwards?
Definitely.
Would we agree that we have more murders and more crime taking place in the country now than it was 9 years ago?
As you and I are talking, we had 570.
We had 570, so we shot across 600 before the year and passed 607, which was the highest rate just the other day. So we shot past that, because between now and the end of the year, we go get more than 37 murders. We could agree on that?
We can agree on that, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. Would you say that the public sector and public servants are happy with the way that they're being treated right now?
Of course not.
Right. So you have all these things and other things going on in this country. Nothing points to a positive direction. Nothing is pointing to a forward movement except for false promises, but hold on till 2027. Hold on till 2027. You had 9 years. 9 years. People understand why it's 9 years? The only administration in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, or the only political party in the history of Trinidad and Tobago that has ever gotten more than one term is this current political party in power right now. Now, I am nothing against PNM, I'm nothing against UNC, NTA, PP, whoever you want to be. But when you have run the country, and you are the only political party to see more than one term, and the country is going backwards, give me anybody else.
Yeah.
Because if you couldn't get it done in 9 years, you're trying to tell me you'll get it done in 5 more?
Yeah.
It's not one term they had. Look at what the former Prime Minister was able to do in one term. Look at what she was able to do in one term. Whether you like it or not, I always ask people this question. And maybe somebody in your audience, somebody watching you when they call in, they could answer this for me. Because I asked it already and nobody can answer it. to the people that has criticized the opposition leader, my question to them is this: when Kamala was Prime Minister, what it is that the PNM give you that Kamala take away? I want them to explain. Somebody had to call me and tell me what that is, because I can't figure it out. For all the criticism that it has criticized the lady, what did the PNM give you that she took away, that you can't give her, that she don't deserve a second chance?
I think that's
you can answer that for me. What she took away?
But the thing about it, this administration took away the most important thing to all of us, and that's hope.
Correct. But look at through the pandemic, they take away your constitutional rights. People mustn't, that's the next thing too, Mikey.
Yeah.
Before I go, people mustn't forget the incompetence and the infringement on the constitutional rights during that period that was called the pandemic. I just call it the pandemic. People must not forget that their jobs were at risk. That these people took away everything from them, Because you had a freedom of choice. They took away your freedom of choice, and they tried to push you in a particular direction. They pressure your employer, everybody, and they put you in a place of suffering, They lock you down in your house, everything, They did everything for you. They did everything to take away your constitutional rights, People mustn't forget that period, when they had a whole panel of clowns coming on the air 10 o'clock every morning, talking a pile of nonsense, and they can't forget Supergraph Man,
Yeah.
What is his name? Avery Hines, or whatever his name was. Where they gone?
But not only that, there were news outlets there that we never even heard about. Space News and all of them. We didn't know they were affiliates of whoever. But these people were given front row seats to take this propaganda and spread it. And it makes you wonder, and if you and I even apply to sit there for a press conference, what, Stephan Reis, Mikee, nah, them fellas can't come in here. But you had all kinds of people from Alien News and what have you, and people, and that is why the question has to be, Stephan, after all of that, after enduring all of that, after having to live through all of that, what should be the main message?
Well, the message had to be changed. The message had to be changed. The message had to be, the message had to be everything I tell you. They had to stick to the issues that are affecting people the most in the home. The average man, the working class. The working class right now under attack. They're under attack. I had the PSA president on this morning. That man break down a public servant salary from the minimum salary. It had people in the public service still working for under $5,000,
Yeah, that's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, trainees working for more than people who've been there for years.
Correct.
So that tells you. Closing comment, go right ahead.
Closing comment? No, listen. I think, it's like I said. People have to put the differences aside. We have to come together. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself in order for this country to move forward. If the population continue to lie to themselves and play identity politics, we are going to go absolutely nowhere. It is time that the people in this country, whether you're African, Indian, Chinese, 1%, 2%, 10%, 99%, it don't make a difference. You have to be honest. How has this administration affected your life over the last 9 years? Are you better off today than you were 10 years ago? And then you have to make a decision and move forward like that. We cannot be stuck in this whirlwind of just going absolutely nowhere, spinning top in mud. People have to come out and be honest. That's what I ask people to do. Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Sit down and just be honest with yourself. Are you better off today than you was yesterday? And you'll make it, and your decision will be so easy as a shape.
Steph, I want to thank you so much for taking time out this evening, for linking with us here. And again, we will be, of course, having you on periodically. Very interesting. And that message, of course, to me personally is whether it be your business, your personal life, none of us could withstand another 5 years.
5 days, Mikey, 5 days.
Thank you so much, my friend. Have a good one.
All
It's
right,
been a
man.
pleasure.
Cool.
Hey,
Take it easy. Thanks
thanks
a
a
lot.
lot.